In this meditation, we're going to focus on meditative self-inquiry. And I call this meditative self-inquiry for a very specific reason. First of all, because it's meditative, which means that in order to inquire in an effective way, it's necessary for us to have a certain focus of attention, which means that we need to really be present and in the moment and focused on experience rather than thought. Because in inquiry, we ask the question, who or what am I? And it's very important to realize from the very beginning that this question is not meant to be answered in the mind. It's meant to be answered experientially throughout the totality of our being. So first we'll just allow ourselves to enter into the state of meditation, a state of relaxation, of ease. And as always, connect with yourself, with what you're experiencing right here, right now, without trying to change it, without trying to alter it. Feel yourself, feel your environment. Letting the tension in the body let go, allowing it to relax. Now, the most important element in meditative self-inquiry is knowing how to ask the question. Knowing how to introduce the question into the silent mind, into the core of your being. So when we look and we observe and we ask a question, we're not looking for an instantaneous answer from the mind, but the question itself is actually focusing awareness. It's drawing awareness's attention in a certain direction. It's very important to understand this, lest the mind starts searching within its past experience for an answer. Inquiry is meant to open the mind, to provide a gap within the mind through which we can enter a deeper experience. So in order to find out who and what we truly are, we first look at what we're not. We first look at what we assume we are, what we have been taught that we are. And we start with the most obvious and elemental parts of our experience. So the first one is thought. Most human beings find their identities in thought. Most people think that they are who they think they are, whether they think they're good or bad or worthy or unworthy, deserving or undeserving. These are all thoughts in the mind. And so for most human beings, their identity, their sense of self, is actually being generated by the mind. This sense of self that's generated by the mind is what I call the false self. It's a sense of self that's simply generated through the movement of thought and conditioning. So when we start to look at mind, which is nothing but thought, we start to notice that there is thought. Thought moves in the mind. And the assumption is that you are your thoughts. That somehow your thoughts tell you about yourself. But when we start to explore it, you start to notice that there is thought. And there is also awareness of thought. You'll notice in your own experience that awareness itself lies before thought. Awareness is there before any thought arises. Awareness is there to notice thoughts as they arise. Awareness is there when thought passes. And so you can see in your own experience that although there is thought, that there's also the witness of thought. And the witness of thought always stands prior to thought. And therefore you cannot be your thoughts. Thoughts happen and occur within you. Thoughts are not who you are. Thoughts do not tell you who you are. Thoughts cannot tell you who you are. When we look at feelings and the various sensations in the body, to have a human body is to have feelings and sensations. So there are obvious feelings and obvious sensations running through your body right now as I speak. Your attention may be drawn to different feelings or different associations, different places in your body. And generally, we are taught through our conditioning to identify with our feelings. So if anger arises, we say to ourselves, I am angry. As if I and anger were synonymous, were the same thing. If we are happy, we say, I am happy. If we are hot or cold, we say, I am hot or I am cold. And so associate ourselves with these feelings. But just like thoughts, although we can feel various things, many things, that there is something which is prior to feeling, closer than feeling. There is the awareness of feeling. And although feelings occur, there is an awareness that's prior to them. Feelings come, feelings go, but the awareness of them remains. And so obviously feelings present themselves, but we are not our feelings. Feelings just happen within us. We also find that minds, human minds, have beliefs, a whole array of beliefs. Beliefs about who we are, beliefs about others, beliefs about the world, beliefs about what's right and wrong, good and bad, beliefs about how things could be or how they should be, beliefs of an almost infinite variety. These beliefs float through our mind as conditioned patterns. We have been taught to associate ourselves with the various beliefs in the mind, to the point where we actually start to identify with the beliefs. We will say, I am a Buddhist, I am a Democrat, I am a Republican, I think this, I think that, I believe this, I believe that. And therefore, we start to derive our personal identities through what we believe and what we disbelieve. And yet through investigation, in a willingness to look again, to look closer, to look more deeply. At this moment, we can see that beliefs also are things that appear within awareness. That a belief is just a thing, just a thought. That a belief is not who you are. That a belief does not define you, or the world, or others. And so, while the mind derives its identity through belief, in truth, belief is simply a pattern of conditioning that flows through mind. And there is an awareness that's prior to belief. There is that noticing of belief. And the noticing of belief is more intimate, closer than the belief itself. And so we start to realize in our own experience that we are not what we believe. Beliefs do not define who we are. Beliefs are something that's witnessed by consciousness. And then we look at our entirety of our ego personalities. Every being, enlightened and unenlightened, has a personality, has a unique way in which spirit manifests as a human being. A personality is nothing more than a mask we wear. And sadly, most human beings are completely identified with the mask of their personality structure. They think they are their personalities. And this leads to a sense of separation, to a sense of isolation eventually. But when we start to see that personality is a thing that belongs to the body and the mind, that personality itself is something that's being witnessed from within. One can be aware of their personality. We can actually say, I am aware of my personality. And so that means that personality is an object that we are aware of. And as an object, we, or you, stand prior to the personality. The awareness of personality stands prior to personality. And so while there is personality, while there is ego, through investigation, you can begin to see and experience that you are not your personality. You are not the ego. You are what's peering through the personality. In the ancient tradition of Greek theater, this is where the concept of persona came from. A persona was something that the actor would wear. It was a mask they would put on the front of their face. They would assume a persona.